AudioBooksTube is glad to produce, publish, and offer. Self-respect. Stop being soft to everyone. By Sage D. Esotreasure. How often do you find yourself saying yes when your mind and heart are screaming no? How many times have you gone out of your way to cater to someone else's needs, even at the expense of your own well-being? If you're nodding along to these questions, you're not alone. Many people find themselves stuck in a cycle of constantly putting others first, sacrificing their own needs, and avoiding conflict to keep the peace. This way of living might appear noble or selfless, but there's a difficult truth lurking behind these actions. By always bending to the will of others, you're not just being accommodating, you're being overly soft. And over time, that softness erodes something vital, your self-respect. This book is about reclaiming your self-respect and breaking free from the chains of people-pleasing. It's not about becoming cold-hearted or distant, but learning to set boundaries that protect your well-being. Respecting yourself doesn't mean you have to be mean or selfish. Instead, it's about recognizing your time, energy, and boundaries as valuable. When you fail to respect yourself, you're essentially inviting others to treat you with less respect. You might believe that by always being flexible and accommodating, you're maintaining peace and harmony in your relationships, but in reality, you're teaching others that your needs, desires, and boundaries are secondary to theirs. The problem with constantly putting others first is that it drains you. You end up feeling unappreciated, exhausted, and even resentful. Over time, this behavior chips away at your sense of self-worth. You begin to believe that your needs don't matter, that your voice is unimportant, and that keeping everyone else happy is easier than standing up for yourself. But this way of living comes at a steep price. It undermines your confidence, diminishes your happiness, and stops you from living your life authentically. How can you escape from this pattern? How can you stop being soft and start respecting yourself? The first step is understanding that self-respect doesn't mean being harsh or unkind. It's about setting clear boundaries and consistently enforcing them with confidence. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to accept less than you deserve. Throughout this book, we'll explore the dynamics of self-respect and its impact on every aspect of your life, from relationships to your career to your mental and emotional well-being. We'll dive into practical strategies for asserting yourself firmly but fairly. You'll learn how to say no without guilt or fear of rejection. Together, we'll explore the psychology behind why so many people feel compelled to please others and how to rewire your mindset so you can prioritize your needs without feeling selfish. You'll also come to understand how self-respect affects the way others perceive you. When you respect yourself, others are more likely to follow suit. They'll value your time, your opinions, and your boundaries. They'll see you as someone who can't be easily manipulated or taken for granted. Most importantly, as you cultivate self-respect, you'll start to see yourself differently. You'll feel more confident, more empowered, and more in control of your own life. This journey won't always be easy. There will be moments of discomfort as you push back against old habits and start asserting your new boundaries, but with each step, you'll grow stronger, more resilient, and more in tune with who you truly are. By the time you finish this book, you'll have the mindset and tools necessary to live with the self-respect you deserve. So, if you're ready to break free from the cycle of people-pleasing and reclaim your sense of self-worth, let's begin this journey together. It's time to stop being soft and start standing up for yourself. Your path to self-respect begins right here, right now. Imagine a tree, constantly bending and swaying to every gust of wind. No matter how strong the wind blows, the tree never stands tall or firm. Does this sound like you? Are you constantly bending to the whims and needs of others, losing pieces of yourself in the process? If so, it's time to break free from this cycle and start cultivating a deep sense of self-respect. In the following chapters, we will explore why you might feel stuck in this pattern and how you can build healthier boundaries, prioritize your needs, and communicate more effectively. Along the way, you'll discover how to become more assertive without losing your kindness or compassion. Identifying your people-pleasing patterns. The first step to reclaiming your self-respect is identifying the patterns of behavior that have led you to compromise your own needs. We've all been there, sacrificing our desires, wants, and sometimes even our values just to make someone else happy. But this pattern of people-pleasing chips away at our self-respect, leaving us feeling drained, undervalued, and often unseen. So, why do we fall into these patterns? For many, it's the fear of rejection or conflict. You might believe that agreeing with others, even when it goes against your desires, will help maintain peace in your relationships. But in truth, your self-respect is on the line. To break this cycle, begin by paying attention to when you're sacrificing your needs to satisfy someone else's. Is it with certain people, like a boss, partner, or close friends? Or does it happen in specific settings, such as work, social gatherings, or family events? Recognize the emotions that come up in these situations. Do you feel anxious, guilty, or resentful? These emotions are key indicators that your self-respect is being compromised. It's important not to judge yourself too harshly. You're not alone in this struggle. Many people grapple with the same challenges. By identifying your people-pleasing patterns, you're already taking a huge step toward reclaiming your self-respect. Understanding why you lack self-respect. Building on your awareness of people-pleasing, the next step is understanding why self-respect deficits occur. Losing self-respect isn't something that happens overnight. It's usually a gradual process, often rooted in childhood experiences. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where your needs, opinions, or emotions weren't valued. Over time, you may have developed the belief that you aren't worth standing up for, which slowly erodes your sense of self-respect. Even in adulthood, certain relationships or jobs can contribute to this issue. Constant criticism, lack of appreciation, or being taken for granted can make you feel undeserving of respect, causing you to accept less than your worth. In the following chapters, we'll explore practical strategies for undoing these harmful patterns and reclaiming your self-respect. Through conscious effort and self-awareness, you'll learn how to put yourself first, communicate your needs effectively, and build relationships that respect and honor your boundaries. Ultimately, this book will guide you on a journey of transformation, helping you move from softness and self-sacrifice to confidence and self-respect. You'll discover the power of standing tall, just like that tree in the wind, refusing to bend to every external force. Instead, you'll stand firm, grounded in the knowledge of your worth and empowered to live a life that reflects your true value. How often do you feel compelled to bend over backward for others, even when it compromises your well-being? Perhaps you've been taught by society, family, or past experiences that prioritizing yourself is selfish, and avoiding conflict is virtuous. This message can be pervasive, leading many to suppress their own needs and constantly apologize for even minor inconveniences. However, living like this, always putting others first, downplaying your worth, and apologizing unnecessarily, gradually diminishes your sense of self-respect. You may not even realize how societal norms have shaped your behavior. Society frequently praises those who are accommodating, urging them to avoid confrontation and be nice above all else. Over time, this external pressure fosters guilt when you assert your boundaries, causing you to question whether you're wrong for protecting your own well-being. Understanding how these patterns of behavior form is not about blaming yourself or others, but about recognizing how deeply ingrained they are. Once you acknowledge that you've been conditioned to prioritize everyone else's needs at the expense of your own, you can begin to take steps to reclaim your self-respect. When you frequently apologize, even when you're not at fault, it stems from a belief that you're always in the wrong. This behavior reinforces the idea that you are at fault or undeserving of respect, even in situations where an apology is unnecessary. Apologizing excessively is like giving away small pieces of your self-esteem each time, creating an internal void that feeds feelings of worthlessness. It distorts how you see yourself, fostering a belief that you're always in the wrong, no matter the circumstances. From a social perspective, constant apologizing also diminishes how others view you. If you apologize too frequently, it can lead others to respect you less. Apologies should carry weight and sincerity, but when you use them too often, they lose their value. People may start to perceive you as someone who lacks confidence or conviction. However, it's never too late to change this pattern. By recognizing your worth and reframing how you view mistakes, you can break free from the cycle of excessive apologizing. It's okay to make mistakes. It's part of being human. You don't always need to say, "I'm sorry." Setting boundaries is essential for self-respect, but it doesn't mean being harsh or cold. Boundaries are about self-preservation, and they help you maintain a healthy balance between your needs and those of others. Think of yourself as the captain of a ship. You decide who comes aboard, how they behave, and when they need to disembark. You are in control. Establishing boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. Rather, it's about creating an environment where your emotional well-being is protected and respected. Start by identifying what behaviors drain or discomfort you. Once you understand what your boundaries are, communicate them clearly, using I statements, such as "I feel overwhelmed when," or "I need time to recharge." This way, you're not attacking others, but simply expressing your needs. Remember, it's okay to say no when necessary. Your mental health and emotional energy are valuable, and those who truly care for you will respect your boundaries. Being firm and kind simultaneously may take some practice, but it's crucial to mastering the art of setting boundaries with love. As you grow more comfortable asserting yourself, you'll realize that drawing these lines doesn't make you unkind. It allows you to honor your worth. Emotional needs aren't secondary, and they certainly aren't optional extras in your life. Just as you need food, water, and sleep, your emotional health is essential to your well-being. Unfortunately, many people have been conditioned to believe that their feelings and desires don't matter as much as those of others. But this isn't true. When you neglect your emotional needs, the consequences can be severe: stress, anxiety, and even depression. Acknowledging and prioritizing your emotional needs is a form of self-respect. This doesn't mean ignoring others, but it does mean giving your feelings the attention they deserve. Recognize when you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or upset, and allow yourself to address these emotions. Taking time for self-care, setting boundaries, or even seeking professional help are not acts of selfishness. They are essential parts of maintaining your emotional health. Asserting yourself is another key component of self-respect, and part of this involves learning when to stop explaining yourself. You don't owe the world a justification for every decision you make. Of course, transparency and open communication are vital in healthy relationships, but constantly explaining yourself can be draining. It sends the message that you feel the need to validate your actions to others. To become more assertive, you must first believe in your worth. You don't need others' approval to make decisions that are right for you. Being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive. It means standing firm in your choices while remaining respectful to others. The next time you find yourself over-explaining, pause. Ask yourself, am I explaining because I want to, or because I feel like I have to? If it's the latter, resist the urge. Replace explanations with statements of fact. Instead of saying, "I can't come to your party because I have too much work," say, "I won't be able to attend." No further explanation is needed. One of the biggest hurdles to assertiveness is the fear of rejection. This fear can be deeply ingrained, stemming from a desire to be liked or a fear of disappointing others. The fear of rejection can make you hesitant to stand up for your needs, as you worry that doing so will upset or alienate others. But it's crucial to remember that you can't control how others feel or react. What you can control is how you approach situations. To overcome the fear of rejection, start by recognizing it. Acknowledge that you're afraid, and understand that this fear is normal. Everyone experiences it at some point, but it doesn't have to define your actions. Practice asserting yourself in small ways, and gradually build up to more challenging situations. Remember, prioritizing your needs is not selfish, it's necessary for your emotional and mental well-being. Ultimately, this journey to self-respect is about taking small but deliberate steps toward recognizing your worth, setting boundaries, and asserting yourself with confidence. It may not be easy, and there will undoubtedly be moments of discomfort, but with time and persistence, you will find yourself standing tall, no longer swayed by societal pressures or the whims of others. Embrace this journey with patience and self-compassion, knowing that each step you take brings you closer to living a life that honors your true value. Emotions can be tricky. They're feelings, not final judgments of your character. Yet, so many people allow emotions to dictate their self-worth, especially when they fear rejection. The truth is, rejection is not a reflection of your value. Instead of dreading it, what if you reframed rejection as a stepping stone toward personal growth? The key lies in self-compassion. When you're kind to yourself, you are less affected by others' disapproval. Everyone makes mistakes. Imperfection is part of being human. Practicing self-compassion means accepting this truth and not punishing yourself when things go wrong. Start by gradually exposing yourself to situations where rejection could happen. It doesn't have to be monumental. You could simply ask for a favor or disagree with someone's opinion. These small steps will help build your resilience, and with each success, your confidence will grow. Over time, the fear of rejection will start to fade. This is not an overnight transformation. It's a journey that requires patience and love for yourself. Each time you confront the fear of rejection, you take another step towards self-respect. And that's what life is about, becoming softer toward yourself, not bending endlessly to others' will. Now, let's consider the idea of healthy selfishness. For many, the concept of selfishness has a negative connotation, but there's a version of selfishness that is essential for well-being. This isn't about ignoring the feelings of others, but about acknowledging your own needs. Healthy selfishness involves setting boundaries, knowing your worth, and ensuring that you don't compromise your values for anyone else. Some may confuse this with being self-centered, but the distinction is critical. Healthy selfishness is rooted in respect for yourself and your well-being, which in turn allows you to respect others. If you can't prioritize your needs, how can you expect others to do the same? Saying no when you need to is not selfish, it's necessary. When you say yes to everything, you're often saying no to yourself. Incorporating self-care into your life is another important aspect of healthy selfishness. Whether it's physical exercise, mental relaxation, or emotional rejuvenation, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Recognizing your limits and honoring them is a powerful way to enhance your self-respect. This isn't about pushing others away, but balancing care for yourself and care for others. When you embrace this balance, you'll see your self-respect soar. Believing in your capacity for progress is another fundamental element in building self-respect. Often, people associate respect with perfection, but growth is far more important. When you believe that you can evolve and develop, you start valuing yourself more. You begin to see the potential in yourself and honor that potential. Progress doesn't mean drastic overnight change. It's about consistent improvement, no matter how small. The goal is not to become perfect, but to make sure that you're a little better than you were yesterday. This mindset can transform your sense of self-worth. Celebrate your victories, no matter how tiny. Every win, no matter how small, is a step toward building your confidence. It's also important to understand that progress isn't a passive concept. You must take conscious steps toward your goals. Growth happens when you push yourself to keep learning and improving. Complacency is the enemy of progress, and it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you're done growing. Keep pushing forward, not to impress others, but to show yourself that you're capable of much more than you initially believed. Another essential skill in maintaining self-respect is learning how to say no. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to please everyone, but the truth is, you don't have to meet every request or fulfill every demand. It's not your responsibility to make everyone happy at your own expense. Saying no is not a rejection of others, but a commitment to yourself. Think of it this way: when you say no to something you don't want to do, you're saying yes to something more valuable. This could be your peace of mind, your time, or even your energy. It's about prioritizing what truly matters to you. The key to saying no effectively is all in the delivery. First, acknowledge the other person's request with appreciation. Gratitude can go a long way in maintaining relationships, even when you have to turn something down. Then, be clear and direct. Don't leave room for misunderstanding. If possible, offer an alternative, like suggesting a different time or method to fulfill the request. This approach shows respect for both parties and reinforces your boundaries. Effective communication is the foundation of self-respect. Your words and actions reflect your inner thoughts and feelings, and how you communicate with others can significantly impact how you feel about yourself. Communication is more than just talking. It's about expressing your needs, desires, and boundaries clearly and confidently. It's not just the words you use that matter, but how you say them. Tone, body language, and facial expressions all play a role in delivering your message. For instance, if you're constantly apologizing or speaking softly, it can give the impression that you're uncertain or insecure. Pay attention to these nonverbal cues. They can often undermine the strength of your words and, consequently, your self-respect. Listening is just as important as speaking. When you listen actively, you show respect for the other person's viewpoint, but also for your own by advocating for mutual understanding. Thoughtful responses show that you value your own feelings and opinions just as much as those of others. Consistency is also vital. When your actions align with your words, you project confidence and integrity. This consistency is a key element of self-respect, signaling that you value both what you say and how you behave. Lastly, don't shy away from expressing your true feelings, even if they involve disagreement. Voicing dissatisfaction doesn't make you rude or confrontational. It shows that you respect yourself enough to stand up for your needs and emotions. Effective communication empowers you to maintain your self-respect and create healthier, more authentic relationships with those around you. In essence, building self-respect is about acknowledging your worth and taking steps to protect and honor it. It's about finding the balance between meeting the needs of others and maintaining your own well-being. By practicing healthy selfishness, fostering growth, learning to say no, and communicating effectively, you can cultivate a strong sense of self-respect that will guide you through life with confidence. Emotions are not your destiny, nor are they an undeniable truth about who you are. They are merely temporary reactions to the things you experience, but too often, people allow their emotions to define them. This is particularly true when it comes to rejection. The fear of rejection is not a reflection of your worth, and allowing this fear to govern your actions limits your growth. Instead, reframe rejection as a stepping stone, an opportunity for learning, and most importantly, for personal development. The journey begins with self-compassion. When you're kind to yourself, you become less reliant on others' approval for validation. Everyone makes mistakes. It's an essential part of being human. Accepting this fact through self-compassion allows you to treat yourself with kindness rather than self-criticism. To practice, start small by exposing yourself to situations where rejection is possible. Whether it's asking for a favor or sharing an unpopular opinion, these small actions will build your resilience and gradually erode the fear of rejection. Over time, with each small success, your confidence will grow, and the grip that fear holds on you will begin to weaken. Understand that overcoming the fear of rejection is not a race but a process that requires time, patience, and self-love. Every step you take in this journey is a step towards self-respect. You're not meant to bend yourself to suit others endlessly, and learning to stand firm, despite rejection, is a form of honoring yourself. In that same spirit, consider the value of healthy selfishness. The word selfish often carries negative connotations, but when used healthily, it's essential for well-being. Healthy selfishness is not about disregarding others, but about ensuring that your needs are being met. It's about setting boundaries, honoring your worth, and not compromising your values for the sake of others. Many people mistakenly equate self-care with being self-centered, but it's not the same. Healthy selfishness means you prioritize your needs and well-being without neglecting others. If you continuously say yes to please others, you're likely saying no to yourself in the process. Recognize the importance of balancing your needs with those of others, but never forget that your needs matter too. Self-care is an integral part of this equation. Whether it's through physical exercise, taking time for yourself, or simply resting, you cannot function at your best when you are constantly drained. Prioritizing yourself is not an act of selfishness but one of survival and respect. Once you learn to protect your own well-being, you'll find that your self-respect grows in tandem. Moreover, believing in your capacity for growth and progress is key to nurturing self-respect. It's not about becoming perfect, but about continuous improvement. When you start to believe that you can grow, you begin to see your value in a new light. Progress isn't measured by grand leaps, but by small, consistent steps forward. This mindset shift allows you to honor your own potential, reinforcing the idea that you are worth investing in. This belief in progress must be paired with action. Growth requires effort, learning, and persistence. Don't allow yourself to become stagnant or complacent. Push forward, not to impress others, but to prove to yourself that you are capable of more. This internal drive to better yourself cultivates a deep sense of self-respect and confidence. One of the most important lessons you can learn in this journey is the art of saying no. It's a small word with immense power. Saying no is not about rejecting people, but about setting boundaries. You don't have to say yes to every request or demand that comes your way. In fact, learning to decline things that don't serve you is an essential part of respecting your time and energy. When you say no to something you don't want, you are actually saying yes to your well-being. Whether it's preserving your time, protecting your mental health, or prioritizing a more fulfilling engagement, saying no helps you focus on what matters most to you. The delivery of your no is just as important. Start by showing appreciation for the request, then follow up with a clear and direct refusal. There's no need to offer lengthy justifications. Clarity is key. If possible, offer an alternative to show that you respect the other person's needs while maintaining your boundaries. Communication plays a pivotal role in all of this. How you express yourself, both verbally and non-verbally, can shape the way others view you and, more importantly, the way you view yourself. Confidence in communication is not just about what you say, but how you say it. Your tone, body language, and facial expressions are all cues that convey how much or how little you respect yourself. If you frequently apologize or soften your voice, it can give the impression that you are unsure or insecure. On the contrary, when your words align with confident body language, you project strength and clarity. Listening is just as important as speaking. When you actively listen, you show respect for others' viewpoints, which reinforces your own sense of self-respect. Engaging in thoughtful dialogue is a two-way street that fosters mutual respect, so always listen as intently as you speak. Consistency in communication is another powerful tool in building self-respect. When your words and actions match, it shows integrity and reliability. People are more likely to respect someone whose behavior aligns with their statements. The more consistent you are, the more you reinforce your self-respect and show that you value your commitments to yourself and others. Remember that it's okay to express disagreement or dissatisfaction. You're not being rude by voicing your opinions. You're showing that you have enough self-respect to stand up for what matters to you. Authentic communication fosters stronger relationships, but most importantly, it solidifies the foundation of respect you have for yourself. Building self-respect also involves learning how to handle difficult people. Throughout life, you will encounter individuals who test your boundaries, criticize you, or belittle you. It's essential to remember that their negativity is more about them than it is about you. Responding to such individuals with calm, measured communication, rather than being reactive, reinforces your self-respect. Lastly, nonverbal communication, such as posture and eye contact, plays an enormous role in conveying self-respect. Your body language often speaks louder than words. Stand tall, maintain strong eye contact, and let your nonverbal cues assert your boundaries. When your body language aligns with your words, you naturally command more respect from those around you. All these practices, self-compassion, healthy selfishness, saying no, effective communication, and handling difficult people, are intertwined in the larger framework of self-respect. It's a lifelong journey, one that demands ongoing self-care, reflection, and growth. By cultivating these habits, you create a solid foundation for self-respect that will serve you in every aspect of life. In life, one of the most crucial skills you can develop is emotional intelligence. It's often understated but serves as the foundation of self-respect. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage your emotions while understanding the emotions of others. This understanding allows you to control how you respond to situations, even challenging ones, without letting your emotions rule your actions. People with high emotional intelligence don't suppress their feelings, they acknowledge them, whether good or bad, and use them as tools to navigate life. Emotions, after all, are part of the human experience. Instead of letting your emotions dictate your actions, let them inform your decisions. Balance is key. Recognize when you're feeling a certain way, but don't allow those feelings to dominate your choices. By keeping a level head, you'll find that decisions made with both heart and mind lead to better outcomes. Another vital aspect of emotional intelligence is empathy, which means understanding and respecting the emotions of others. Empathy doesn't mean you should let people walk all over you, but it helps you navigate relationships with compassion while maintaining your self-respect. You can stand firm in your values without being dismissive of someone else's feelings. When you approach others with empathy, you not only show respect for them but also reinforce respect for yourself by staying true to your values while appreciating other perspectives. Clear, effective communication is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence. It's not just about what you say, but how you listen, too. Express your feelings openly and give constructive feedback when necessary. Listening intently to others shows you value their input, and this creates a stronger, more respectful dialogue. Cultivating these communication skills will foster better relationships and, ultimately, strengthen your sense of self-worth. Emotional intelligence isn't something you can achieve overnight. It's a journey that takes patience and consistent effort. As you develop these skills, you'll notice your relationships becoming healthier and more fulfilling, and your self-respect will grow in tandem. Alongside emotional intelligence, another important practice for self-respect is self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you'd offer a close friend. When you experience difficulties or make mistakes, it's important not to be overly critical of yourself. Acknowledging your struggles without letting them consume you is essential to maintaining balance and building resilience. Self-compassion is not about ignoring your faults or pretending that problems don't exist. It's about facing those challenges head-on with understanding and patience. Treat yourself with warmth and care during tough times, knowing that setbacks are part of life. Embrace your mistakes as opportunities for learning, and replace harsh self-criticism with a more supportive inner dialogue. You can practice self-compassion daily by becoming mindful of the way you talk to yourself. For instance, if you make a mistake, avoid calling yourself stupid or a failure. Instead, remind yourself that you're human and learning is part of the journey. In addition to changing your self-talk, take time to nurture your body and mind through regular exercise, healthy eating, and sufficient sleep. These habits are essential, not luxuries. Lastly, be patient with your personal growth. Progress takes time, and every step forward, no matter how small, deserves to be celebrated. Another critical aspect of building self-respect is learning how to break free from guilt trips. Often, we allow ourselves to be consumed by guilt over minor mistakes or oversights, thinking that feeling guilty makes us more responsible or thoughtful. In reality, guilt can be damaging, especially when it becomes an endless cycle of self-blame and self-punishment. It's important to distinguish between healthy and unhealthy guilt. Healthy guilt occurs when you've done something wrong, prompting you to reflect on your actions and make necessary changes. Unhealthy guilt, on the other hand, is disproportionate to the situation, leading to unnecessary self-doubt and negative self-talk. To stop this harmful pattern, start by acknowledging your guilt without letting it consume you. It's okay to feel guilty, but use that feeling constructively. Reflect on why you're feeling guilty, and then take steps to correct any wrongdoing. If you've hurt someone, apologize sincerely and make amends. If you've made a mistake, learn from it and move on without allowing it to drag you down. Establishing healthy relationships is another essential step in respecting yourself. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, empathy, and open communication. It's important to surround yourself with people who value you for who you are. Recognize that you have the right to choose the people you allow into your life, and there's nothing wrong with removing toxic influences. Evaluate your current relationships and ask yourself, are they balanced? Do the people in your life respect your thoughts, feelings, and boundaries? If not, it might be time to address this. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. If you're constantly giving without receiving, it's a sign that the relationship may be unhealthy. You deserve to be in relationships that enrich your life, not drain it. Letting go of toxic relationships can be difficult, but it's necessary for your well-being. Don't feel guilty about removing negative influences from your life. Your self-respect is not negotiable, and you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift and support you. Standing up for yourself assertively is another vital aspect of self-respect. Assertiveness doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. Rather, it's about expressing your feelings and needs clearly, confidently, and respectfully. When you stand up for yourself, you communicate to others that you value your own worth and that you're not afraid to defend it. Being assertive also means setting and maintaining boundaries. It's important to understand that you have the right to say no when something doesn't serve your well-being. People-pleasing may seem easier in the short term, but it often leads to resentment and frustration. By standing firm and saying no when necessary, you protect your time, energy, and self-respect. Finally, recognize the power of nonverbal cues in asserting yourself. Your body language, such as posture, eye contact, and facial expressions, communicates just as much as your words do. Stand tall, maintain eye contact, and ensure that your body language reflects the confidence you're working to cultivate. When your nonverbal cues align with your assertive communication, you'll naturally command more respect from those around you. In sum, building self-respect is a multifaceted process that involves emotional intelligence, self-compassion, healthy relationships, and assertiveness. It's an ongoing journey of learning, growth, and self-care. By practicing these principles consistently, you'll develop a deeper sense of self-worth, and your relationships and life as a whole will flourish. In navigating through life, many people often struggle with the ability to stand up for themselves while maintaining respect for others. Being assertive is the key to finding that delicate balance between self-respect and consideration for those around you. Too often, individuals feel pressured to yield to the demands or opinions of others, which communicates that their own needs and feelings are secondary. This can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, or even a loss of identity. Assertiveness, however, isn't about aggression or domineering behavior. It is about communicating openly, honestly, and respectfully with yourself and others. It involves setting clear boundaries, speaking your truth, and advocating for your needs without feeling guilty or uncomfortable. Assertive behavior respects both your well-being and that of the other party, creating an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. For those who are naturally more passive, assertiveness is not a trait that comes easily, but it can be learned. Start small by practicing saying no to smaller requests, then gradually build up to bigger issues. Assertiveness isn't about being rude or disrespectful, but about making sure your voice is heard and your values are recognized. This skill, though it takes time to cultivate, is essential to maintaining self-respect in all aspects of life. By standing up for yourself, you acknowledge your own importance, reminding others that your time, energy, and feelings are just as valuable as theirs. Building this assertiveness is a continuous journey. It requires patience, consistency, and self-reflection. As you grow more comfortable with expressing yourself, you'll find that others respect your opinions and boundaries more, reinforcing a strong sense of self-worth and dignity. Another crucial step toward building self-respect is becoming more decisive and direct. Decision-making can often feel like navigating a maze, especially when there are multiple paths or potential consequences. But the ability to make clear, confident decisions is integral to maintaining self-respect. Being decisive doesn't mean being harsh or rigid, rather, it's about being clear in your intentions and confident in your choices. When you consistently avoid making decisions or try to please everyone, you lose a sense of your own direction. Decisions are a reflection of who you are and what you value. When you hesitate or let others decide for you, you relinquish control over your own life. To be more decisive, first identify what matters to you most, your core values. When you understand what drives you, it becomes easier to make decisions that align with those beliefs. This alignment between your values and actions builds a stronger sense of self-respect because you're living in accordance with your own truth, not someone else's expectations. It's important to be open to feedback, but don't let the opinions of others deter you from making choices that feel right to you. Stand your ground, even when it's uncomfortable, and express your thoughts clearly and concisely. When you communicate in a direct and respectful manner, others will appreciate your transparency, and you'll waste less time dancing around the issue. Practice this decisiveness with small, everyday decisions, and you'll find that with each success, your confidence grows, making larger decisions easier to handle. Becoming more decisive is a process of self-discovery. It's about taking ownership of your life and your choices, fostering self-respect along the way. As you grow into this decisiveness, you'll not only earn the respect of others, but also deepen your respect for yourself. Conflict and anxiety often go hand in hand, and learning to manage anxiety during moments of opposition is critical to maintaining self-respect. When faced with conflict, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, as though you're in the eye of a storm, with emotions swirling uncontrollably. But the conflict itself isn't the storm, it's your reaction to it. Managing this emotional turbulence is essential for preserving your peace of mind and reinforcing your self-worth. Anxiety tends to amplify conflict, making problems seem more insurmountable than they really are. The first step in reducing anxiety is recognizing that your perception of the conflict is often what causes the most stress. By shifting your focus from the conflict itself to how you respond to it, you regain a sense of control. Ground yourself in the present moment, focus on your breath, and remind yourself of your self-worth. You can't always control the external chaos, but you can control how you handle it internally. Conflict can also be an opportunity for growth. Instead of avoiding it, which can lead to feelings of resentment or being taken advantage of, approach conflict with courage and a desire to understand. Often, anxiety stems from the fear of being disliked or misunderstood, but understanding the root of this fear can help you manage your emotional response more effectively. Empathy plays a key role here. By considering the perspective of the other person, you'll see that opposition isn't always personal. It's frequently just a clash of differing viewpoints. Standing up for yourself during conflict doesn't mean you need to be aggressive. Rather, assertiveness allows you to communicate your boundaries and protect your self-respect while remaining open to fair discussion. Managing anxiety in conflict is a skill that takes time to develop, but with practice, it strengthens your sense of self-respect and helps you face opposition with grace and confidence. Another essential component of self-respect is embracing your authentic self. In a world where societal norms and external expectations often dictate how we should behave, embracing who you truly are can be both a challenge and a liberation. Authenticity means showing up as yourself unapologetically, without fear of judgment or rejection. It's about owning your choices, accepting your imperfections, and standing firm in your values. Unapologetic self-expression is at the heart of self-respect. By being true to yourself, you validate your own existence and affirm your right to be heard and seen for who you really are. Many people shy away from this authenticity out of fear of being labeled different or difficult, but it's your uniqueness that sets you apart. When you conform to others' expectations, you lose the essence of what makes you special. Initially, practicing self-expression might feel uncomfortable, especially if it goes against societal norms. However, over time, you'll find it to be a liberating experience. By expressing yourself openly, you cultivate self-confidence and reinforce your belief in your own worth. Authenticity isn't just about speaking your truth, it's also about owning the power behind your personal choices. Each decision you make shapes your life's journey, and by making choices that align with who you are, you take ownership of your path. Embracing your authentic self is a process of self-acceptance and growth. It's not always easy, but it's a vital step toward genuine self-respect. As you continue to live in alignment with your true self, you'll find a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. Authenticity is the cornerstone of living a life that aligns with who you truly are. In a world that often pressures you to fit in, trying to please everyone around you can quickly become exhausting and lead to sacrificing your individuality. But here's the thing, you can't afford to lose yourself in the process. You have one life to live, and you are the one who must live with the consequences of your choices. So, why not make decisions that resonate with your values and desires, even if they don't follow societal norms or expectations? This isn't about being selfish or disregarding others' feelings. It's about recognizing that you have the right to prioritize your own needs, emotions, and ambitions. Respecting your intuition and judgment is crucial for building self-respect. It's about standing firm in your decisions and staying true to yourself, even when external forces might push you in a different direction. Owning your choices is empowering, and it strengthens your sense of self-worth, reinforcing the message that you are in control of your life. Another vital part of this journey is learning to accept your imperfections. Too often, people view their flaws as weaknesses, something to be hidden or overcome. But in reality, your imperfections are a unique part of your identity. They don't diminish your worth, but but instead, add to your individuality. Embracing these imperfections can feel liberating. It's okay to have weaknesses and to make mistakes. These moments of vulnerability are opportunities for growth and learning, and when you accept them, you're telling both yourself and the world that you are confident in who you are. Perfection is an illusion, a myth that no one can attain. Everyone has their own set of quirks and shortcomings. What's important is that these imperfections don't define you. They are just small aspects of your being, not the totality of who you are. Acceptance is a gradual process, and it takes time. You can't rush it. Be patient with yourself and show yourself the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to others. Embracing your imperfections fully isn't about glorifying your weaknesses, but about acknowledging them as an essential part of your journey toward self-respect. The path toward unwavering self-acceptance is deeply intertwined with cultivating self-respect. It's not just about recognizing your strengths, but also accepting your flaws without judgment. This journey doesn't mean you become complacent, it means you become resilient. Self-acceptance is an ongoing process. You'll find that it requires constant reassessment of your values, goals, and sense of self. It's important to realize that you don't have to be perfect, and that's okay. You are a work in progress, and that in itself is something worth celebrating. Self-respect comes from within. It's not something you can get from external validation or approval. You have to believe in your worth, even when others don't. That's the essence of unwavering self-acceptance. It's important not to be too hard on yourself. Everyone makes mistakes, stumbles, and experiences failure. It's all part of the human experience. These challenges are opportunities for growth, and they're stepping stones on the path to becoming the best version of yourself. Embrace them, learn from them, and keep moving forward. In the end, unwavering self-acceptance is about standing tall in the face of adversity. It's about recognizing your intrinsic worth and demanding respect not just from others, but from yourself. By fostering self-respect, you become stronger and more resilient, able to face life's challenges with confidence and grace. Maintaining self-respect in relationships can be a delicate balance. Relationships often require compromise, but that doesn't mean you should sacrifice your self-worth in the process. It's entirely possible to be considerate of others' feelings while still holding on to your own sense of self-respect. Setting boundaries is key. This doesn't mean building walls or shutting people out. It means communicating your limits and expectations clearly. You're not being selfish by doing this. You're simply defining the space where your self-respect can thrive. It's important to remember that you can't give from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself first before you can be there for others. Part of that self-care is learning to say no when necessary. You aren't obligated to please everyone, and it's okay to reject requests if they compromise your values or well-being. The word no is a complete sentence. It doesn't need to be followed by justification, explanation, or apology. Additionally, don't ignore your feelings. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Trust your intuition, but don't let your emotions take full control. Emotions aren't signs of weakness, they're indicators that your boundaries might be crossed or that something needs attention. Listening to your feelings is crucial for maintaining self-respect in relationships, but it's equally important to balance that with rational thought. Finally, recognize that you deserve respect in your relationships. Don't settle for less. No one has the power to make you feel inferior without your consent. Acknowledging your worth is the first step in maintaining self-respect in any relationship. By setting these standards, you ensure that your relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. Having walked the rocky path of self-discovery, facing the challenges of conflict and maintaining your integrity, you emerge stronger and more confident. It's no easy feat, but it's an essential part of living a life rooted in self-respect. Self-respect isn't a destination, it's a journey. A journey where you continue to stand your ground, prioritize your own needs, and live authentically. Don't just exist on the sidelines of life, step into it fully, with assertiveness and without apology. Practicing self-respect takes time and perseverance, but the progress you make is worth every effort. After all, the greatest respect you can offer is the respect you give to yourself. Copyright 2024 by AudioBooksTube. Thank you for listening. Please consider to subscribe, like, and share to help the channel grow new videos on a daily basis.